thank you for joining us in our first session in our three-part series where the auto industry meets technology. I'm Kayla Lawrence, our Talent Acquisition Manager, and I'm here to introduce Greg Sachs, our Executive Vice President of IT and Strategy for DriveTime and our family of brands. Greg will be our host of our three-part series focused on our vast information technology departments, the exciting things we're working on, and how we drive our business. With that, Greg, I'll have you take it away.
All right, thanks, Kayla. So as Kayla mentioned, I'll be your host for this three-part series, and we're going to focus on DriveTime as a company and our IT organization. Today, I have with me Adam Swafford, who's our head of product owners, QA, and corporate support. He's been with the company for about 14 years now. We also have Joanna Golina, who heads up our online product track. We'll learn a little bit more about what that is later. She's been with us for about 6 years now. And Brian Good, who heads up our retail product track. He's been with us for about 9 years now. So thank you guys for joining me. We thought we'd first talk a little bit about DriveTime, just to give everybody a background in case they don't know who we are. First of all, we are the US's largest private auto retailer and finance company. So that's a lot of words, but what that actually means is that we have about 130 dealerships across the US. We're in about 26 states. And we sell about 130,000 cars a year. And we do that by acquiring all of our cars from auction, most of our cars from auction, and then reconditioning those cars in our own facilities that are stationed across the US. And then when those cars go out to our dealerships will sell those cars and essentially turn them into loans. And those loans are serviced by a company under our umbrella called BridgePress. So BridgePress is our loan servicer. Another part of the process is we sell ancillary products along with those cars. So for that, think about warranties and gap insurance, things like that. And the company under our umbrella that handles that is called Silver Rock. So it's a really interesting integrated model that provides a lot of challenges for us on the technology side every single day to solve. And so we'll talk a little bit more about how that works and how IT delivers on all of those expectations. Before we get into some of the discussion here, I want to make sure that everyone knows that there's a chat function within the app. And if you're interested in asking us questions, feel free to post those at any point in time. And we'll save about 10 minutes at the end to answer that in the Q&A session. So let's take a little bit deeper dive into how we support this billion-dollar business. So maybe I'll start with Adam first. Maybe Adam, can you explain a little bit about IT, what are an overview of who we are and what your role is in the company?
Yeah, sure. So we have over 200 people in IT to support those three brands that Greg mentioned. And that consists of application development teams, business intelligence teams, data engineering teams, and they break down in different areas to support those companies. So we have three teams that focus on the lending and finance side. So that's focused primarily on that BridgePress business. We also have three teams that support our dealerships and the underwriting of those loans. We have two teams that support our ancillary products business. So that would be like the warranty, GPS products, things that we also sell. And we have two teams that help on the vehicle reconditioning side. So that's all of our facilities that repair those vehicles and the software to support those. We have two teams solely dedicated to customer-facing websites that Joanna leads up. We also have three teams to support all the other corporate departments. And then there's 7 other groups within IT that are just support groups that support all those teams and our business in total. The group that Joanna, Brian, and I are on work within those software development teams to support the development effort. And it's our job to make sure that the outcome and the software that we build really does meet the asks of our business and make sure that we're delivering the right product. And then our team is made up of then product owners, business analysts, and quality assurance.
Yeah, that's great. I would also add that we're the 200 people that Adam mentioned puts us as one of the largest IT organizations in the Phoenix metro area. Although our headquarters is located in the Tempe area, if you're familiar with Arizona, we actually hire across the US within IT and have a good number of remote folks that have joined our team over the last couple of years. So Joanna, so a lot going on there.
Yeah.
Why such a large organization to handle everything that we get from the business?
Yeah, well, if you think about it, you mentioned all of these different companies, these different business lines that we support. I don't know when the last time any of you picked up a pen and a piece of paper to get some business done, but that's not how business happens today. Everything happens in some sort of tech system. So every line of business has its own set of systems, its own platforms that it uses to get business done. And in order to make sure we're able to smoothly and easily execute on all of the cars that we sell, the loans that we're writing, the contracts that we're servicing, we have to have a really solid IT team behind that to make sure that those systems are functioning as they should be. So it takes a lot of people to run that many different kinds of businesses under one umbrella.
Yeah, and so Adam had mentioned all the different tracks we have and all the number of teams we have. Maybe Brian, you can talk a little bit about what goes into each team, all the different disciplines that create a really successful team.
Definitely, yeah. And as you mentioned, we have a ton of different tracks and different opportunities within the business. So it's important that the teams we have are conducive to being autonomous and somewhat self-sufficient. And I would say that we've done a pretty good job of making sure the right roles are on the teams to kind of help support that. So how that looks for a particular development team, we usually have about one product owner and one dev lead kind of over the development team, and they help to make sure the work is prioritized, the backlog is healthy. There's always something going on for the teams to be working on, and that they're doing work that provides the most value for IT and for the business. Aside from that, the folks that actually execute and get stuff done is more so on like the software developer side. So we usually have about 3 software devs that focus on building software. And then with those 3 software devs, we also have a handful, maybe 2-ish data engineers that also support that from the data side. And now underneath that, we're going to have QAs that help test the code. Again, these are all the same roles on the same team. So we're working together to build software the fastest, most efficient way possible. And then of course we have our solutions analyst, which is really our version of a business analyst. And they're working directly with the developers to make sure that we have the story scoped and prepped and ready to go for the team. They're working alongside in parallel too. So as development is going, as questions arise, we have folks dedicated to make sure those questions get answered quickly so you guys can focus on developing software.
So with all those people on a team, how does collaboration really work?
Yeah, extremely collaborative, Greg. So mentioned before, like there isn't really red tape or a wall, so to speak, between the roles. Everyone's collaborative, working together. The product owner is working with the dev lead, who's working with the developers and the SAs and the QAs to make sure we're all getting stuff done. QAs sit with developers, or for virtual now, they're on teams with them, testing through stuff together in a very collaborative fashion. SAs working with devs to make sure roadblocks are cleared. So really, we're trying to empower the teams to work as quickly as they can, as most efficiently as they can to get stuff done.
Oh, thanks. Another interesting thing about what we do is a lot of our systems are custom developed. That didn't happen for any particular reason other than the integrated model that we run as a business, which again gets back to being basically a dealership and a finance company and an ancillary product company all under one umbrella. That integrated model has required us to build some pretty sophisticated special tool sets for auto decisioning and allowing ourselves to manage the business at the scale that we're managing at. But we also look at third-party systems as well. So we have a number of third-party systems that we buy. And I was interested maybe to hear from Adam about the process that we go through to help us determine when do we buy, when do we build, and how do we integrate this all together.
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, we've been around a while, so we have plenty of systems already in-house ready to go that we have built over the years. So, enhancements to those that are the majority of the asks that we have are pretty quick answers that we just finish and we enhance what we already have. When we're thinking though of a net new product and a new system and a new use case, then we definitely look at what's out there in the market and look for third-party systems. It would be faster to get that in for our business. But like you had mentioned, there's no perfect solution out there, and there's definitely not a perfect solution that fits our integrated model. There's a ton of business value in directly connecting our different business lines so that we can automate those flows and that decisioning and that logic that's happening that normally would be separate companies. And so that requires custom development for us to do that, because we just can't typically find many systems off the shelf that'll enable that. And I think that value far outweighs the cost of us building a custom software development team to help support those things. And so we've continued to build out IT over the years to allow us to keep getting those business benefits.
Yeah, and so, there are a lot of ideas in the company on a lot of different fronts. We're a very data-driven company. Everything that we build internally or integrate with is based on the idea of having some type of data model behind it that helps our frontline employees make better decisions every day and serve our customer better every day through those systems that they use. And just interested to ask Joanna about, in the upper funnel, the most upper funnel, when those ideas come about, how do we turn those into reality? Like, what's the process of going through that?
Yeah, Adam talks a little bit about what my team focuses on, and that is customer-facing websites. And a big piece of what goes into that website is experiments and testing out different ideas, trying out different layouts and different approaches to what we have available on our website to see what resonates most with our users. And that's not just unique to my team, that is across the entire organization. We do a lot of piloting and a lot of testing out of ideas before we actually roll them out to the entire country. And so where do those ideas come from? They come from you and you and you and me and people in our call centers and people in the analytics team. We have a whole team of people who just sit there and sift through data. They're data scientists, and they look for trends and nuggets of information that we can use to try out new ideas. We've done things from idea Slack channels where people can just go on to the website and say, hey, it would be cool if we tried out this thing, and they'll throw an idea out there. Brian probably remembers we used to have competitions around whose idea is going to win. So ideas come from literally every level and every department in the business, and that's how we learn and we grow, and that's what we love doing.
Yeah, that's one of the best things about the culture at DriveTime, and one of the things that's kept me here the last 16 years is the idea that anybody in the company can contribute to the strategic plan just based on having a small idea. So given that, what are some of the new things on the horizon for IT, Brian? We've hired about 50 people just in IT over the last year and a half. We're looking to hire at least another 50 people in the next year. So what things can you share with us that are on the horizon?
So let's start by saying we can all agree that 2020, I think, was a hard year for everybody. And it presented its own unique case of issues that we had to work through too. But part of that was also positioning us in sort of this growth slingshot for 2021. And a lot of that has to do with technology. So we know that customer landscape is changing. The way the customer wants to shop is changing too. While we were taking steps towards that, we have some exciting opportunity to accelerate that path now to moving more of our purchase process online. So that's the first big one that I'm really excited about. How can we diminish that click to brick, as they like to say, and give more of that experience up front to our customers where maybe they're just coming to our dealership and picking up the car at some point. That's going to be a long-running project, a lot of fun things we'll have to figure out along the way for that. But that's one I'm very excited about. Number two also is again, we've all been saying that we're largely a data-driven company. And everything we do is driven by data to some extent, including the customers that we try and target and segment. And we found our niche, and we've done well at that niche, but we're also learning there could be other opportunities outside of that niche. So how can we leverage powerful data modeling to better target and cater to those customers that maybe haven't found DriveTime just yet? That's a big focus for us this year as well. And then finally, DriveTime is a fun, exciting place. I think hopefully you've picked up on that by now, but there's always opportunities to grow here. And one of those opportunities too is if there's a company that isn't doing something well enough, maybe we can make a new company. And so with that also comes a unique set of asks from IT. And there's probably going to be more of that coming our way this year and next year as well.
Yeah, thanks. Those are some really exciting things coming about which goes into a little bit why we're hiring so much and why we think technology is at the core of our success as a company moving forward. We've talked a little bit about the culture in IT. We're going to ask Adam to talk a little bit more about what makes it such a special place. If you didn't know, we've been recently acknowledged as a top 10 IT organization in the country. And so there's a lot that goes into that. And Adam, maybe you can share a little bit about the uniqueness that makes us that much different than any other place.
Yeah, I've been here a long time. I had been in all sorts of different positions and different teams, been on lots of different IT teams. And whether it's in IT or it's in the business, I feel like the culture and the feeling is the same. And it's one of support and empowerment. I feel like we always do things as a team. It's not about the individual. It makes it really easy to do your job and come in and work. We can work hard, but if we know we're doing it together, it makes it fun and easy. And I think in addition to that, it's one that's very growth-minded. I started as a business analyst a long time ago. I've been given lots of opportunity to grow and to continue my career. And that in addition to what you had said before, are definitely the reasons that make me want to stay here, make it easy to have been here for so long.
Yeah, we're a fairly flat organization, and it's one of those places where at least our home office, for those that are not remote, it's a very open environment. Our senior leaders are usually at stand-up desks around the office, and it's really easy to just walk up to them and ask a question or join a conversation and get a perspective on something, which really lends to just who we are and how transparent of an organization we are with all the things that we do. As it goes to the culture, last year with the pandemic, we had to transition a little bit from a face-to-face relationship-based organization to somewhat of a more virtual, remote organization. And was interested to hear from Joanna about how she managed that with her team, and how do you balance the people that are in the office with people that are remote?
Yeah, I think we can all attest to the fact that it was not easy, especially having to do it, kind of rip the Band-Aid off and figure out how to do remote work for 190 people pretty quickly. But some of the things that we ended up going with, virtual happy hours, getting everybody together to just talk about things. When you're not in the office, you lose those opportunities that you were just talking about to just like walk up and say, "Hey, Adam, how's your dog doing today?" Or the interpersonal conversations that you have that weren't necessarily work related. And so we've done things like that. We also like to have a Microsoft Teams call just open where everybody can on the team can come and turn on their videos and just chat, and you can sit there and do your work. And if somebody wants to talk to you, they'll, just like they would if you were sitting next to them in the office, just say, "Hey, Joanna, you have a sec, but I'd like to run this past you." So a lot of video communication. There's definitely times where you can get burnt out on video, so it's not an all or nothing. You always have your video on. We definitely try to make that a personal approach to make sure everybody is comfortable there. But lots of Slack channels. There's food channels, and there's random channels, and I don't know, the 3D printer channel.
Yeah.
So whatever interest you have, there's a group for you, and there's ways to connect virtually. So it's been a challenge, but I think we're doing it okay, and I figured out how to pivot to that remote environment.
Yeah, we really had to tap into some of the creativity to do that, and I think we're on a really good path to embrace a full flexible work environment here at DriveTime IT. And maybe Adam, share a little bit about where you see that going.
Yeah, we always allowed some work from home, but I think now we're like fully on board with the full flexibility side of it, because things were a lot easier than we thought they would be. With, like the transition within the first week of last March maybe wasn't great, but we're in a great spot now, and I feel like we're as productive or more productive than we were before. And so we want to continue to give people all the flexibility that they want. If you want to come in and work 5 days a week in the office with, maybe you,
Yes.
Great, then come do that. If you're more like me and you're looking for a couple days a week, that's fine too. And we have lots of people that are going to be even fully remote now. It's been actually given us more opportunity than we had before to hire people out of state. We have fully remote people that are even in state in the city or out of state in total. And so it's allowing us to grow faster. And it's been something that's been fully embraced. So we're pretty excited to kind of work through it in the next few months as everyone kind of decides what's right for them.
Yeah, that is going to be another exciting thing to look forward to as we move forward in a post-pandemic year in 2021. One of the other things I want to touch on is career development at DriveTime. I think DriveTime is a special place because there are a lot of opportunities for people to laterally move within the company. And you might come in one role in IT or even in the business and have opportunities to move between organizations within the company. And so Brian Good has an interesting journey so far with us over the last many years, and I thought maybe you could share a little bit about that path.
I would love to. First, I'll say I think DriveTime's culture is very much grace and exploration driven. I think that allows us to move quickly and try a lot of really crazy things, fail fast, learn quickly, and iterate. I would say that a career path is no different in that regard. I started off as an intern 9 years ago, which, by the way, this is my shameless plug for the intern program.
Yeah.
Probably the best intern program in the Valley. It's paid. You're working on actually real projects. You're not just fetching coffee and talking to people. So if you're looking for a good opportunity, if you're in college, check us out. Aside from that, I started as an intern. I got to work on a lot of really cool projects on the operations side of the business. Ended up getting an offer for full-time. Did that for a bit, and then I found a passion in IT through an off project I got to work on. Ended up having an opportunity to join one of our IT support groups, and the transition made sense, and so I jumped over there, learned technology, picked it up pretty quickly, absolutely loved it. Moved into a QA position, testing software, and eventually moved into a BA, business analyst or solutions analyst as we call it, position. Did that for several years. Jumped a little bit into the product realm also, did some product management for a year or two, came back into IT, and I became a product owner managing a team or two on the retail side of things, and then grew from there, and now I oversee several teams. So definitely a testimony to internal growth, I would say, and that's one of the reasons why I've really enjoyed sticking around here is there's always opportunity, and your limit is really what you're willing to take on and run with. I would say we don't really have a culture of red tape. Something needs to get done, there's always a void that needs to be filled, and it's up to you to fill it.
Yep. Yeah, we have a lot of stories like that. Brian's not the only person where somebody's come in through our internship program. If anyone's out there right now thinking about internship program, our internship program runs usually in the summer. The home office will bring in 40 to maybe 50 different interns to help work in all the different departments within our home office. And our goal there is to continue with those people through the rest of their college career and then beyond once they graduate. So it's been a really good source of new hires for us and something that we're really proud of. Well, thank you, Adam, Joanna, Brian, for being here today and joining us for this little discussion. And I hope everybody out in the audience enjoyed learning more about DriveTime and what DriveTime IT has to offer. I'll pass it back to Kayla here, and she'll get our Q&A segment started.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Greg. That was a lot of amazing information, and we know people had some questions along the way. So we're going to start with our live Q&A. If you haven't entered your questions, don't forget to use the chat. If we don't get to them today, no worries. We'll follow up by email or in our second session. And a week from today, focus on application development. So first, we'll start with Audrey R. This was not necessarily a question, but she did want to highlight that DriveTime, we are owned by one shareholder. So I thought if we would definitely mention it. DriveTime, we're very proud to be a multi-billion-dollar privately held organization. So Audrey, spot on there. JW, so he asked about our transportation and logistics. Do we own our own carriers or do we have fleet partners or sub-haulers?
Yeah, I could take that one. So at DriveTime, with the integrated model, most of the things we do are done through our own employees. So when we buy a car, it's our own employees making those decisions and choosing which car to buy. When we condition a car, it's our own employees fixing the car and making sure it's up to retail and safety standards. One of the areas that we haven't gotten into yet is transport. And so you're hitting on one of those areas that we actually use an expansive vendor network across the country to facilitate getting our cars from the auction to our reconditioning centers and then from our reconditioning centers to our dealerships. Maybe that's something that we'll be tackling in the future though.
Awesome, thanks Greg. All right, Brian S. Said he noticed we launched a new app, a mobile app about 1 to 2 years ago. What other new technological spaces is DriveTime interested in giving the push to make the business more digital?
Let's take that one.
Hi, Brian S. So yes, we do have a DriveTime app out there right now, and you actually hit on one of our strategic goals for the next 1 to 2 years is how can we expand that? How can we do more things online so that the customer can come in, look at the car with their own eyes, kick the tires if they want, take it for a test drive and say, yep, this is the one, and here's my final signature, and drive it off the lot. So that is an area that we are trying to expand and get more of that in dealership experience to be transferred into the online space, because that's really what people are looking for. Like, you want to get as much done in the comfort of your own home, but people still want to see the car. They still want to go in and touch it and smell the leather and make sure that it's what they have their heart set on. So bringing that up into the online space.
I'd add too that we're trying to do the same thing with BridgePress.
Yes.
There's a lot of online capability there for our existing customers in the customer portal, but we have lots that we would love to add to make more app focused for that and provide, biometric login and just ease of payment, ease of login, and there's a big list of to-do enhancements there as well on the servicing side.
Awesome, thanks guys. All right, next we had Manoj asking, what are the technical skills in IT that you're looking for in recruits?
We're the less technical group.
Yeah.
You gotta ask that on the next two ones. But I think in general, like we have all positions at all levels open. So we try to get a good mix. Like Brian said, we have an intern program. We pull people up that have no experience, and they through the intern program work through us, and that's how we take our more junior hires in. And we're looking for intermediates, mid, and definitely senior level candidates too in all of our areas for application development, web development, data engineering, BI, product ownership, BA, QA, we have it all.
Yeah.
It's a wide gambit.
We're going to be going into more detail on that with our data engineering team and our application development team in the next 2 weeks. So feel free to join those 2 sessions too to hear more about that.
Absolutely. Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much again for joining us. We hope you found the session informative. As everyone has mentioned here, we do have 2 more sessions to go through. So our next session is going to be a week from today, April 20th, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, focus on application development, building from scratch our way. We cannot wait to see you there. Thank you.
Bye.
See you there.